Hello and welcome to another Focus on Friday, and we're going to go in a little bit different direction today because I want to talk about someone who's still living, and that is Gaye Adegbalola, and I'm probably mispronouncing her last name because it's not a language I'm familiar with, but we're going to get into the meaning of that a little bit later. So Gaye was born in March of 1944 to Clarence Todd, who was the first Black school board member in Frederick, Virginia, and a jazz musician, and her mother, Gladys, who was a local activist at the time. She graduated valedictorian from the Walker Grant High School, which was still segregated at that time, and she earned a bachelor's in biology from Boston University. She would continue her education well into the late 70s, and eventually, excuse me, she would earn a Master's of Education in Educational Media from Virginia State, and she was also awarded Virginia Teacher of the Year in 1982, but that's a little bit further out. She is an activist, and her teenage years and her young 20s, she was very, very active for the civil rights movement in the 60s. She participated in sit-ins and picket protests all through her educational career. As far as her formal career, she was a biochem researcher for Rockefeller University. She was a technical writer. She was a bacteriologist at Harlem Hospital, where she was also the local union rep. And then from 1966 to 1970, she also worked with the Black Power movement, and she organized the Harlem Committee of Self-Defense, I want to say somewhere between 68 and 70. She eventually would return to Fredericksburg, and in the 70s, she began teaching. She taught gifted and talented, she taught creative thinking, and she taught science. All three of those things she felt were very important. And she also helped her dad direct the Hammurabi Theater because music was such a big part of her life at that time, to the point where in 1977, she just taught herself how to play the guitar. In the 80s, she moved away from teaching kids and started teaching teacher workshops on motivational teaching. And then in 1984, she formed the Sapphire Uppity Blues Women, originally a duo, and it became a trio. And that's when her musical career really took off. In fact, the trio continued until 2009, and then it split apart, and she continued on as a solo career artist, and quite a successful one. She had a Song of the Year in 1990 with the Uppity Blues Women for Middle Age Blues Boogie, and she's had multiple nominations and other successes across her musical career. In fact, in 2018, the Library of Virginia's Women in History nomination or award became hers. As far as her personal life, relatively unexciting in comparison. She came about her surname in 1968 when a Yoruba priest bestowed it upon her. It means I reclaim my royalty. And she has used that as a moniker and kind of a talisman to honor her ancestry and her pride as a Black American. In 1992, she was diagnosed with uterine and cervical cancer, and she beat it into remission, and she's been fine since. She was briefly married in 1960 to a record manager, which resulted in her son, who is known as DJ Blackula, the Juno Bomber, in the goth industrial music world. Again, not a world I'm overly familiar with. And in 2000, she came out as a lesbian, and it's been known that she's been with her partner, Suzanne Moe, ever since 1991. And that is Gaye Adegbalola. I apologize, Gayle. And that is our focus on Friday. So you all have a good day.